Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are here to talk about the fascinating topic of cost. I'm sure every customer here cares about cost, whether you are a startup, an enterprise, or anything in between. I'm Rohit Pujari, Senior Manager of Product Management at QuickSight. Joining me, I have my colleagues Bawan and Yuri. Go ahead, Bawan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bowen Wang. I'm part of AWS Billing and Cost Management product team as their Principal Product Marketing Manager. In my role, I enjoy talking to many customers just like you, and thank you for sharing your feedback. It really helps myself, engineering team, and product team to improve our solutions to better serve your needs.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yuri Prihodko. I'm Principal Technical Account Manager at AWS, and I'm also one of the founders and leads of Cloud Intelligence Dashboards project, which is based on QuickSight, and I'm also working with enterprise support customers to help them in their FinOps journeys and helping them to optimize pretty much every aspect of their AWS, to their workloads at AWS.
All right. To kick things off, here's the agenda. So we're going to first kick off with explaining and highlighting a few themes and common challenges that customers face with respect to managing their AWS cost. We'll also talk about what's new, and more importantly, how that fits into the existing cost management family of services. We'll describe how QuickSight is helping organizations become more cost-aware. We also have a demo that will run through and explain some of the key use cases, and also showcase how you can customize the experience to really suit your organization's needs. So with that, let's get started. So when we talk to customers about the top challenges they're facing with regards to managing AWS cost, we hear three things. The first is, my engineering teams are super busy. How do I get them to take action? How do I empower them to take action? The second pain point we hear is, and this is more from the business users, is how do I get to the unit economics? How do I reach the holy grail of expressing my business cost in unit cost terms? And third is, how do I go about creating cloud financial awareness across my organization? Which means, how do I improve cross-functional collaboration across the team, institute chargeback and showback, and make cost efficiency as a shared goal across the organization? Now, when we unpack these questions and pain points, we see a few themes that are at the core of these challenges. The first one is, bringing financial awareness to variable spend is key to running cost efficiently on AWS. And this is more about the customers who are moving their workloads to AWS. When we think about cloud, we don't think about that as a destination. We think about cloud as a mental model. And when you are moving your applications to a cloud, you're almost going through a mental model shift. The cloud spend is so dynamic that it changes on a daily basis. You have your teams that are provisioning resources, spinning down resources, whenever they feel, whenever they want. The cloud is really enabling this rapid experimentation and deployment model where you want to have the visibility on a daily scale or as close to real time as possible. And the fact of the matter is that cloud gives you the speed, the agility to move fast, but it expects you to monitor and optimize your spend. And cost optimization for growing organizations, if you're launching newer experiences, if you're updating your applications, is not a one-time effort. You are in continuous pursuit of optimizing your costs, extracting efficiency from your cloud operation. And to do that, you need the right tool, you need the right level of measurement to track the spend over time. So that's the first theme we see from customers who are starting to migrate and embrace this model of cloud. When we talk to customers, and more specifically the technical organizations, what we find is engineering teams end up spending more than they need if they don't have the right level of visibility. In fact, engineering teams sometimes have incentives to provision additional headroom capacity to account for potential scaling issues down the road. They are goaled on things such as system uptime. They're goaled on things like delivery, but cost isn't usually one of their key concerns. And what we also find is the engineering teams are working across multiple projects. They're pressed for time. They're wrangling multiple priorities. So when we spoke to them, what we learned is engineering teams really want visibility to pinpoint specific areas of applications, if optimized, can deliver significant amount of cost savings with as minimum of engineering effort as possible. And to do that, cost is a very important data set, but it's not sufficient. You need to bring in information such as performance metrics, your application traffic, and overlay alongside cost data to be able to find the hotspots in your spend. Now, when we go to the business users, they have a different lens. They talk about it's not just an infrastructure conversation. How do we tie this to the overall business value? Now, as you can see, with cost data, you need the ability to both zoom in as well as zoom out, depending on the role you play within your organization. So as an example, when we talk to a fintech company that provides a platform upon which other financial institutions can build, and they also provide a suite of APIs, for them, they want to be able to estimate the cost of per API call expressed in cloud terms. Similarly, some customers want to estimate the cost of acquiring each customer, expressed again in terms of cloud spend. So to be able to answer these questions again, the business has to take the cost information, blend that with revenue information, with application usage, your monthly active users, your transaction volumes. And these are diverse data sets in your organizations that are sitting across different silos. So you almost need a connective tissue, a tool that can fuse all these insights together so you can effectively answer these questions. And more importantly, when we speak with business users typically don't have access to AWS console. They are used to operating in business-friendly interfaces such as dashboards and reports, and they consume reports on a daily or even on a weekly basis. So now, we had to think about, in the light of all these patterns and themes, what could we do differently? So we spoke with FinOps practitioners, and what we realized that many organizations do not have dedicated FinOps teams until they get to a certain level of spend. Many FinOps practitioners are in fact wearing multiple different hats. So we went back to the drawing board, and we thought, what could we do differently to allow FinOps practitioners to be able to provision out-of-the-box insights, but also allow them to share that across organization in a secure manner. So we are happy to announce today you can provision cost and usage dashboard directly from your AWS billing and cost management console as a fully managed experience. And with Cloud and Usage Dashboard, you will get a ton of insights out of the box that can address some of the common use cases that we've seen across thousands of customers. In addition, you can create a copy of this dashboard so you can customize different visuals, add additional data sets, and make these dashboards truly your own. And to do that, of course, before even we go there, these dashboards are powered by Amazon QuickSight. So to those who are new to QuickSight, QuickSight is a unified business intelligence service that you can use within AWS to create interactive dashboards, reports. You can also create data-driven stories and narratives that you can take to your quarterly business reviews. And QuickSight comes with robust SDKs and APIs that you can use to integrate into your wikis or internal portals or even external applications. We give you the hooks to customize the look and feel so the dashboards truly infuse and match your brand. And we give you all the DevOps tools to be able to instrument and orchestrate your CI/CD workflows so QuickSight can behave and operate as an integral part of your application. And we also launching, and in fact have launched, some of the generative BI capabilities that you can use to discover insights by simply expressing your questions in natural language and using simple prompts to create data-driven narratives. And more importantly, QuickSight is based on serverless architecture. What that really means for you is you build it once and you can effortlessly scale across hundreds of thousands of customers with fast performance. And there is no additional charge for you to pay for that additional scaling. With QuickSight, within the dashboards, you can apply row-level security and column-level security to control the access and the visibility of who gets to see what in the dashboard. And you can control that both at the user as well as at the group level. And like any AWS service, QuickSight comes as pay-as-you-go, so you only pay for what you use. There are no hidden costs for you to scale or share these dashboards across your organization. And to help provision the cost and usage dashboard, we have reimagined the data export experience. To talk more about that experience and explain how that fits into the rest of the cost management family of services, I'd like to invite Bowen to the stage to take us through that.
Interactive cost and usage dashboard really gives you the single pane view, right? You can understand your organization's cost and usage and the savings all in one place. And if you're interested to understand the cost and usage associated with specific product families, such as compute, storage, database, data transfer, you will be able to do that as well. And we will talk more about what you can do with this dashboard later in this session. So now you have this new cost and usage dashboard, right? And you incorporate this dashboard into your day-to-day cloud operations. So with this new dashboard, you'll be able to provide new insights for your stakeholders, so they will be able to make better decisions. For example, setting up better cost governance policies or understand if there are any cost optimization opportunities for me. But no matter where you are, whether you are operating fully in a cloud-native environment or if you are currently operating in a hybrid environment, many times you will get questions from your stakeholders. It's like, can I lower my AWS bill? The easy answer to that is yes, you can. You can use less resources. But we all know that's not a reality, right? As your business grows, as your customer demands increase, so as your cloud resource usage. So our goal is to make sure that you can develop and build whatever you want on AWS, but we can try to keep your unit cost down. Like, just like Rohit mentioned, when you tie AWS spend with the business driver metrics, that is the time when you evaluate your cost in a context instead of just compare dollar by dollar, month over month. And to do that, when you associate your cloud spend with business driver metrics, you get things such as cost per business transactions. And you will be able to then measure whether you are architected in the most cost-efficient way. So how can you really drive down your unit cost? Well, at a high level, you're looking at two steps. Sometimes they come together. You either optimize how you are utilizing AWS in terms of resources, or you're optimizing how you're purchasing from AWS to get more discounts. For the first layer, when you optimize your cloud resources usage, you can terminate idle resources, right-size your architecture, finding the right resources, the right size for your applications. You can set up things such as budget alerts to make sure that you detect unnecessary spend. Or you can see if there's an opportunity for you to migrate to a serverless architecture. For savings associated with purchase options, you can take a look at your workload, especially based on your historical spend pattern, to see if savings plans or reserve instances is a good fit for your workloads. But for you to be aware of all of those cost optimization opportunities, it can be a lot. That is why AWS Cloud Financial Management solution is here to help. So many of you probably are very familiar with a lot of the services displayed on this screen. And as Rohit mentioned, it really requires a change in internal awareness and culture change and a partnership between finance and technology in order to adapt to this dynamic nature of cloud resource usage. Right? But we also know the success of cloud financial management relies on a clean, timely cost report. Right? And that clean cost reporting starts with a clean data foundation. Right? How you label your resources with resource tags that can be activated as cost allocation tags in cost management console. How you use things such as cost categories to set up rules so you can allocate your cost better. With the right metadata, it determines how your stakeholders will be able to interpret the cost reporting at the end of the day. And that cost reporting can be displayed within a console using things such as AWS Cost Explorer. Right? You can use different grouping options and filtering options to zoom into a specific cost and usage within a certain dimension. Or you can use our newly launched AWS Billing and Cost Management data exports. You can control the column selection and row filtering in your actual data exports and can deliver that to Amazon S3. And for those of you who charge or show back your AWS spend to your end customers and end users, you can use AWS Billing Conductor. Right? With AWS Billing Conductor, you'll be able to structure a set of accounts based on their financial relationship and be able to configure your pro forma billing views. That does not change the relationship between AWS and yourself, but actually gives you a way to configure the billing rate based on your chargeback logic. And when you're ready to forecast your AWS spend, right, try to understand what's my next quarter, next year's investment will be, you can use AWS Pricing Calculator to factor in variables from your business driver activities, or use the built-in forecasting capabilities that AWS, for example, AWS Cost Explorer has based on your historical pattern. And speaking of historical pattern, AWS does monitor your usage, right, and it provides you with recommendations that can optimize not only resource usage, but also purchase strategies. So for example, AWS Compute Optimizer gives you the right sizing recommendations, and Cost Explorer does provide you with savings plans and RIs recommendations. And with the recent launch with Savings Plan Visual Graph, you can actually visualize the estimated savings, the utilization, and coverage rate for the recommendation for savings plans. So you can see how aggressive or conservative you want to adjust for your actual presentation. So now you may have questions, like, well, when it looks like you have so many options, I can report on my AWS spend and usage. Which one shall I use? Where shall I start with? So the easy answer is you start with the billing and the cost management console. You probably have heard we've just launched a unified billing and cost management console. Right? Once you log into this unified billing cost management console, it's a quick overview of the different highlights and alerts and recommendations. So you can just grab a cup of coffee and understand what should I focus on today, right? And then the next step is, if you're ready, let me zoom into the different services and resources. That's where you use AWS Cost Explorer. So Cost Explorer is an out-of-the-box native visualization tool. You'll be able to use different groupings and filters to zoom into a specific dimension. You can also display historical data. Right? We also just launched a 38-month of historical data. You'll be able to quickly spot the month-over-month, quarter-over-quarter, and year-over-year, up to 3 years within Cost Explorer. Right? And also, we just launched a resource level data. So this way, you'll be able to just zoom into the most granular data possible in Cost Explorer to understand your cost drivers and cost anomalies. And in terms of data exports, if you were a FinOps guru or if you were a data engineer, you really want to roll up your sleeves to analyze those data in details, you can export the data. You can control the data schema by using SQL interface or console selections and output those data into Amazon S3 bucket. Well, you'll be able to either integrate with Amazon Athena for interactive query or upload the files to Amazon Redshift for storage and analysis, or integrate with QuickSight for visualization. So speaking of visualizing cost and usage in QuickSight, some of you might have already deployed the AWS Cloud Intelligence Dashboard and may have questions about, so what's the difference between the dashboard you guys just announced today versus the rest of the Cloud Intelligence Dashboard? Well, the easy answer to that is think of this way. The cost and usage dashboard powered by Amazon QuickSight we just launched today is inspired by Kudos dashboard, which is one of the many Cloud Intelligence dashboards we have today, but gives you this interactive dashboard without you worrying about creating data flow or managing these underlying infrastructure such as Amazon Athena views or AWS Google Queries. To talk more about this difference between this dashboard and the CIDs, we're going to invite Yuri, the author of CID, to talk about that.
Thank you, Bowen. Cost and usage dashboard inspired by Kudos dashboard, but let me explain what does it mean in practice. Cost and usage dashboard is built on top of summary view, which is one of the data sets in Kudos, and it provides aggregated visibility and summary over your cost and usage with daily granularity. So in cost and usage dashboards, you can find majority of the visuals from Kudos, which actually based on this summary view data set. However, at the same time, unlike in Kudos, in cost and usage dashboards, there are no resource level visibility or hourly visuals. But at the same time, because it's possible to provision cost and usage dashboard straight from AWS console, it becomes a very simple and easy entry point for FinOps practitioners to bring this data to QuickSight and visualize and analyze in BI tool. So we want actually you to be able to bring this data as early as possible in your FinOps journey. And then, with the time, when you get used to this concept, where you more confident and familiar with using of QuickSight, and if you like to dive deeper into resource level details or visibility from other AWS services and recommendations, you still can deploy Kudos dashboard or Cloud Intelligence dashboards as an open source solution in well-architected labs. Let's take a look under the hood of cost and usage dashboard. It leverages AWS Data Export and its new capability to deliver not just the raw cost and usage data to a S3 bucket, but pre-aggregated data, or the summary view, which is built just right with exact schema which is needed for dashboard visualizations. So you might see that the next stage is Amazon QuickSight directly integrates with S3 and visualize the data without need to making any pre-processing or post-processing of this data or any ETL job on your side to make data ready to be visualized. It minimizes amount of components used in this chain and allows you to get your dashboard ready to be used in a matter of couple of clicks. Because we leverage Amazon QuickSight here for the dashboard and cost and usage data visualization, now you can share the dashboard with pretty much any stakeholder in your organization by leveraging native QuickSight capabilities, like integration with Identity Center, or sharing via email, or integration with IAM. Now, stakeholders do not actually need even to log into AWS console. They can use BI tool for their cost and usage reporting. And as Bowen mentioned before, it's very often that some of the stakeholders needs to bring their own data sources, like business metrics, like organizational structure, to actually join with cost and usage data to fulfill their requirements related to cost reporting and cost tracking. So now, by leveraging QuickSight integrations with different data sources like data warehouses, relational databases, or S3, these stakeholders can bring this data into QuickSight and join with this summary view data set to actually combine their business metrics with cost and usage data to calculate unit cost or cost per customer or cost per transaction, depending on their business domain. And then they can create analysis in QuickSight out of the dashboard and customize pretty much any aspect of it, or extend and build on top and create visuals and widgets which actually leverage this combined data set. Cost and usage dashboard provides many insights and visuals to drive you to the most important parts of your spend and usage. For example, you can find all savings and discounts in a single place and effective savings rate calculated for you to actually be able to track how effectively you're leveraging some kind of discounts or different purchase options like saving plans, reserved instances, or reduced rate pricing options like spot. You also can find their interactive month-over-month trends, which allow you quickly, in a matter of a couple of clicks, go into the most moving parts of your spend and usage between different months. There are many visuals or tabs in these dashboards which allow you to uncover the complex parts like data transfer cost, and which are presented in a very easy to understand format, like with breakdown by different data transfer types, with ability to understand the key drivers and generators for data transfer. And of course, one of the most important use cases here is that you can create a copy of this dashboard and extend it and build your widgets and your visuals which can satisfy all the requirements of your stakeholders and adjust to the needs of your business goals. I think you all want to see how it all works in action, so I want to invite Bowen to actually show us how to provision this dashboard right from Billing Console.
Thank you, Yuri. Okay. I just mentioned that we recently launched the Unified Billing and Cost Management Console homepage, right? This console homepage comes with this landing page where you can see different widgets of cost summaries and alerts, etc. And to the left, there's a site navigation where we've consolidated and grouped different billing and cost management tools by use case, such as billing payments and cost analysis. So data exports is currently categorized under cost analysis. What you do is click on data exports. Okay, we will see if this still allows me to refresh. Okay, all right. Okay, so this is a little glitch. We didn't prepare this. Pretend you didn't see anything right now. Awesome. So we'll start again. We'll go back to Billing and Cost Management Console page and find data exports. So on this page, we mentioned earlier that data exports gives you the ability to create recurring data exports that you can send to Amazon S3 bucket. In the same time, you can create cost and usage dashboards. To do this, you have two ways. Either you can click on this orange button, Create, or you scroll down to this widget window where it says Cost and Usage Dashboards powered by QuickSight. When you click on that, you will be redirected to a new landing page where you will then provide a few information to this landing page. The first thing to do is give your dashboard a name. So we will name this Dashboard November 27. The next thing is we mentioned this allows you to deploy a QuickSight dashboard, right, directly from your Billing and Cost Management Console. So you do need to let them know what is your QuickSight username. If you do not remember, just like me, click on this shortcut link that will direct you to your QuickSight homepage. And then here at the right-hand corner, there's a little guy here. You click on this and then click on again. You'll be able to find your QuickSight username. Let's come back to that, copy and paste. The default region for this dashboard is US East. You have the opportunity to edit based on your actual needs. So the next two sections, you cannot really edit because this cost and usage dashboard is a pre-built template, but you can click on this drop-down and just understand what information in terms of the column selections from your cost and usage report, also known as CUR. You can also understand the delivery options in terms of the file type and the overriding policies. Moving on to the storage. For you to provide your Amazon S3 bucket name, you click on Configure. You can either create a brand new bucket, making sure the name is globally unique. For this live demo purposes, we have previously created a bucket. Cost dashboard, November 27. And there's another thing to make sure you can provide consent to override your Amazon S3 bucket policy. So I would do that. Service role. So this gives Amazon QuickSight the right to access the data stored in your Amazon S3 bucket. You can either use your existing service role, or in just demonstration purposes, we'll use this default service role. And that is it. Let's create. Depending on how big your CUR file size is, give me one sec. Okay, yes, this is important. For us to organize the objects in your S3 bucket, you do need to have an S3 prefix. Let's put cost and usage here. This should do it. It might take a few minutes, but it will redirect us back to the data export homepage, where you can see all the previous costs and usage dashboard you've created, any exports. So good. This is the dashboard we just created. You can check the status, right? If it's ready, it will show as healthy. But you can take a look at all the key information associated with this dashboard by clicking on the name. You can take a look at this QuickSight ID, the edition of your QuickSight, making sure it's Enterprise Edition, all the columns included from your cost and usage report, and that's it. Let's go back to this one. To make sure we have data ready for the next stage demonstration, we have previously created this dashboard, and you can see that there's an option for you to open this dashboard in QuickSight. And to kind of showcase to you what information you can get from this new dashboard, Yuri will come on stage.
Thanks, Bowen. All right. So now we provision this dashboard, and it usually takes up to 24 hours for data to be delivered and backfilled for previous 7 months. So when you open dashboard straight away, you might see no data, but if you come back later, you will see the data populated. So as someone who wants to now dive deeper into AWS spend and usage, what I want to start with is actually exploring some insights and recommendations which are available on the dashboard. So I go to this billing summary tab, and here I can find high-level details over my spend and usage over a couple of previous months, the most popular regions, my total savings and discounts which I get, some information about amount of services which I'm using, and the amount of linked accounts. You can also find here a breakdown of your invoice spend or unblended cost and amortized spend per your AWS linked account. And what I mentioned before, you can find here visualizations which show your total savings and discounts or effective savings rate, so you could see how effectively you're leveraging or how much you're saving by using different savings and discount options like spot, reserved instances and saving plans, or other things like bundle discounts, with ability to break down of where you're saving and on what. Now, I want to dive deeper into insights of my spend. I go to month-over-month trends tab, which has a lot of visuals which help me to focus on the things which are changing from month to month. For example, here, this insight from QuickSight dashboard shows me automatically that my DynamoDB spend increased by 51%. Let's have a look. What drives this change? What makes this increase actually over last month? So here I have a couple of tables which show me the trends from month to month for AWS services and for AWS accounts. I can sort by difference month over month, by absolute value of difference, or by percentage. In my case, I sort by month over month difference in dollars, and now I can interactively select any of the services, in my case DynamoDB, and then all of the visuals on the steps are filtered based on my selection. I can do the same trick with my accounts, and I can sort by increase of monthly difference, and I can now identify the account in which this increase happened. I can dive deeper and select the account, and if I scroll down here, I can see other dimensions which now focused on DynamoDB for this particular account, like spend by product family, spend by region, and some difference between the different regions if you have them, up to visibility over spend by API operation. So here we are. I can see that the key driver of increase of my DynamoDB spend was increase of committed throughput. So in a matter of couple of clicks, I managed to dive deeper into, first of all, which services are changing, to which accounts the difference happens in, up to API operation. Now, let's go to the databases. In Database Summary tab, we provide a lot of different insights for your spend and usage for databases. Here you can select the different database services like RDS, Elastic Cache, Neptune, and others. But what I want to focus, for example, in this case on Elastic Cache and RDS. So I can select them here. And I have different visualizations which show me breakdown of my database spend by product family or by database engine. Like for RDS, it would be Postgres, SQL, MySQL, and others. And then very interesting visuals here are related to reserved instances coverage. With databases, you can cover different dimensions of your spend and usage. For example, you can cover your database engine, region, and database type. So overall, you can track how much of your database spend is covered by reserved instances, but you also can see a different dimensions here which are covered by ARISE for up to 95%, but some of them are not covered at all. So now interactively I can select any of those dimensions, and I could see the daily usage by instance hours or normalized instance hours here. And if I scroll down, I can see the daily cost of them. So it allows me actually to see the both dimensions, the usage and the price over history, over time. So now I could see that I'm using constantly this dimension of my database spend, and it's not covered by ARISE, so maybe it's a good idea to cover it. There is last thing which I wanted to show you here is the data transfer summary tab. The data transfer, it's usually challenging to reason about, and it requires some additional efforts to understand what type of data transfer falls to inter-AZ, or where I'm spending on region-to-region data transfer or region-to-internet. There is a lot of hidden things or very hard to track things. So here in data transfer tab, you have a visual which shows you breakdown by data transfer type. So you easily can see what amount of you're spending to inter-AZ data transfer, what amount you're spending for region-to-region, region-to-VPN, etc. Again, interactively, you can click on any bar here, and the rest of the visuals will be rendered based on your selection. So for example, I want to dive deeper into inter-AZ data transfer. Now I can see daily amount of traffic generated between availability zones with breakdown by the services which generated it. I can see some usage and cost with amount of data transferred over a couple of previous months, and the cost which this data transfer triggered. And then I can go deeper into spend per AWS account here. And I can focus now on particular account with data transfer and see the daily patterns within that particular account. So if I select any of accounts, the visuals here on the right shows me daily spend per different API operations. So I could see how elastic I am and how my data transfer patterns look like. There are many other tabs here for different services which you can explore, but on introduction page, you can find some other use cases which we want to show you. So you can share this dashboard within your organization. You can build own visualizations and customize it. You can implement row-level security and allow people to see the data only which they own in the dashboard. Or, as I mentioned before, you can go to advanced use cases later on and explore cloud intelligence dashboards by following this link here for advanced use cases and deploy solution to get more insights and visibility. The last thing which I want to show before passing the word to Rohit is I want to enable someone else in my organization to use this interactive spend and usage. So I want to share the dashboard with Rohit now, and I'm clicking on Share Access and add a new user. I'm sharing with Rohit as a viewer. I can also change him to be a co-owner of this dashboard to be able to even modify it. And I allow him to save as this dashboard as analysis, so he can create his own visuals and own widgets based on this out-of-the-box dashboard. And once I've saved, once I've shared access with Rohit, I can go back to my dashboard, and then Rohit can log into QuickSight and see exactly these visuals and can customize them based to his needs.
Imagine that I have logged into QuickSight, and I see this view over here. And one of the first things that you would notice is I have a Save As icon. I can save this dashboard, and I can provide analysis name. It could be A1. And once I save this as analysis, what you would find is now I have an editable version of this dashboard, what we call as analysis, ready for you to customize it. In this example, I'm playing a role of a business user. I lack access to AWS console. So my window into cost data is through this dashboard. And with the ability to save the dashboard, I can now start manipulating some of these visuals, change, rearrange, or even create my own ones as my questions arise. So in this instance, I have gone ahead and I have created an analysis here that we can take a look right away. As we saw, the purpose of the dashboard that we gave you, there are really two ways you can think about it. One is that how can you hit the ground running with out-of-the-box visibility so you can address those use cases. The broader goal for us to provide you this dashboard is to enable you to start asking questions and discover insights so you can make your own decisions. And that's what we're going to do here. So in this instance, I looked at all these tabs. These are great. They address my use cases. But I'm curious. I'd like to learn more about my cost. So what I can do is I can come in and I can start by looking at some of these tabs here. In this instance, I'm going to go ahead and create a new sheet. All right, as you could see that I have given an option. Shall I create interactive sheet or paginated report? For the demo purposes, we're going to go ahead and create the interactive sheet. I click Add, and let's close these panes here so we can gain some real estate. At this point of time, I can see all the columns on the left that came with the data exports. Now you can simply go in here, up top, click on Build Visuals, and start asking questions. So QuickSight is smart enough to parse the data set and give you the starter questions to ask that you can see in the suggested list here. But I can also ask my own questions. So I would like to go ahead and say, first is I want to find out my cost by region and maybe charge type. So as you can see, I'm starting to type in fragments. Just to get me started, I can see I have gotten some visual here, but I'd like to maybe fine-tune this even further. Well, instead of having a bar chart, I want to have this visualized in a Sankey chart. So I have formulated an even deeper question here that you could see, and I can sense that there are regions and different usage types. So let's go ahead and add this to the analysis here. And quickly we'll see that I have the most amount of spend coming from US East 1. The next thing I want to do is I'd like to go ahead again to my visual builder and say, I want to understand the cost by, let's say, product family. And immediately, you can see that I have a visual here with top 100 products selected. And I can see storage is where I'm spending some amount of dollars. But I'd like to pin this to a specific region. So I can go in and say, in US East 1 region. And I don't have to precision type each character. QuickSight is smart enough to know the casing, so it appropriately understands your intent and selects the right column to give you the right visual. So now I have all my product families distributed by their cost. I can go ahead and add this to the analysis. Well, as soon as I see this visual, it makes me realize as a business user, a couple of months ago, we did some cost optimization, and storage was the area where we spent a lot of time. So now I'd like to kind of drill down a bit into some of the S3 costs. So I can come in here and say, all right, now show me my Amazon S3 costs by usage date. And I'd like to also see that in a weekly format. Now you can see I have a line chart here that tells me my weekly usage. I also have this insight icon that I can click here, and it shows me what was my spend for the week, which weeks were the highest, which were the lowest weeks, the growth rate, and so on and so forth. I can also turn on forecast. Now it gives me some level of forecasting into my data set. I can go ahead, add this to the analysis. And the last thing I want to do here, I'd like to also go ahead and say, I want to now understand my Amazon S3 costs by operation. So I could see like how my costs are spread across different API calls. Is it the core storage, et cetera, et cetera. And I'd like to visualize this using, let's say, maybe a pie chart. Now we have our visual. Let's add the analysis and close these windows here. So you could see by using simple natural language, I was able to create a dashboard. At this point of time, I can go ahead and rename the sheet as my custom sheet. And then go ahead and publish that as a new dashboard. And once that dashboard is published, it's available to you to use in your own custom ways. You can also share this forward with your peers and stakeholders so they can look at these views and start making their own, their own discoveries as well. So as you can see, we looked at the end-to-end experience. We started with the data exports page, where we were able to create the dashboard just by supplying a few details. And we landed with a dashboard with a ton of insights, with lots of use cases there. There was zero engineering effort involved from you as the FinOps practitioner. You didn't have to provision Athena views, no glue crawlers, no data pipelines. We did all the undifferentiated heavy lifting for you to get to the dashboard. The second thing we did is we didn't just simply land you in a blank canvas where you had to scratch your head and start asking questions. We gave you a set of insights to begin with, so you could be productive right away. But then we also gave you the ability to make a copy of that and make it your own. So you can start to bring in additional data sources by connecting those data sets with your different fields and create the cost insights which speak to the unit cost definitions that we mentioned before. So I'd like to say thank you. We have this dashboard available starting today. I'm going to take a pause here, take a picture. This will take you to a blog which describes all that we mentioned, as well as the appropriate links for you to get this provisioned. We also have other workshops and deep dives and sessions to talk even more about QuickSight's capabilities. So please do check them out. And we thank you for your participation. Please don't forget to complete the survey in this app and enjoy your reinvent. Thank you.